Do you have something? I'm sorry. Here's a very dry weather, hot weather in Thailand. Do you have something there, Semir, what you can drink during our interview?
Well, usually I don't drink, but I can ask my wife to get something ready.
Okay, I'll put here only light. I nearly forgot. And we can start. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So, dear listeners, dear watchers who are with me here, dear audience, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce you someone very, very special. This interview is with Dr. Semir Osmanagić. I hope I pronounced it well, doctor. And today we are going to talk about something very amazing. Maybe partly about history, that maybe history is not how we learn that. Maybe there are some things we still don't know, and mainstream archaeologists, they don't want to allow to speak about it. And very briefly, I will let you to introduce yourself, Semir. Very briefly, who are you? You're someone who discovered pyramids in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And when you check the Google, you will find out that maybe these pyramids are the highest in the world, higher than in Egypt. But when someone discovers something, it's not always accepted. And that's why we are here. We're going to talk about it. And Semir, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for being with us. And if you want to add something about you, you're welcome.
Hello, Tomáš. Thank you for inviting me to your show. I'm very happy to be with you. When you ask me about myself, of course, we are much more than the physical being. We do have our material aspect, which is something connected to our names, education, the life that we live. The second aspect is, of course, our soul. Our soul is almost forever going through one body to another one, from one planet to another one. And the third aspect is, of course, the spirit, which is the divine flesh in our body. So it is like Russian dolls. We have physical aspect protecting the soul and the soul protecting the spirit. But basically you asked me about the first aspect. I am Bosnian, American, Croatian. I am basically the cosmopolitan. I belong 50% to this planet and 50% is our cosmic origin. Formally, my PhD is about the Mayan pyramids. I spent a lot of time in the countries of Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Salvador, and Belize. But I have expanded my research of the ancient civilizations and pyramids. 2 pyramids in Peru, Bolivia, China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Australia, Sudan, Egypt, Canary Islands, Italy, Spain, Greece, Bosnia, United States. And I have concluded that after 40 years of my travel, research, scientific work about the megalithic and pyramid sites, that almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. And like you heard, the pyramids are not built only in Egypt and Mexico, as they teach us in schools. They are built on all 6 continents. And the Egyptian pyramids were not tombs for the pharaohs. And in April of 2005, armed with the knowledge about the pyramids around the planet, I'm coming to the central Bosnian town of Visoko, just half an hour drive from the capital city of Sarajevo, coming to my home country. At that time, I lived in the United States, where I spent 25 years. So I'm coming to Visoko to visit the local museum. And then I'm seeing this, which everybody called hill, because it was covered by soil, vegetation, and bushes, and the forest. But I could see perfect regular geometry, four sides, triangular faces, corners, same slope from bottom to the top. I took compass, and compass showed me the perfect orientation, east, west, north, south. I immediately knew that it was an artificial structure which got covered by soil and vegetation after thousands of years. When we think about the pyramids, we think Egypt, but Egypt is in desert, south. It's warm, sunny, no rain, no greenery. Peru, the same thing. But the Chinese pyramids, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, the same scenario like in Bosnia. So back in 2005, after the discovery, I established a non-profit foundation, and in the last 18 years, it has become the most active archaeological site in the world.
Wow. You know, when you found out that on this place are pyramids, what was the reaction of the people from science? Because it was huge, I think, at the time that you discovered something like this. What was the reaction?
You know, back in 2005, in the spring, first I was so excited because when I saw the shape and the orientation, I knew that it was not only the pyramid, but also the biggest pyramid on the planet. I could just see it with my own eyes. I took topographic maps, calculated. At that time, what was visible was at least 220 meters. And there's the figure you can find somewhere on internet sources. And the Great Pyramid of Egypt, the one that wrongly called Khufu or Cheops, is 147, much bigger than the largest Egyptian pyramids, which has been considered the biggest pyramid on the planet. And then I started doing some preliminary research. As a physical person, I got the permission from the Ministry of Culture. Geological core drilling, archaeological trenches, lab analysis, everything pointed to the direction that it was an artificial structure. I wrote a book and I had a big press conference in Sarajevo, October of 2005, and I announced the news to the world that we have first European pyramids, the biggest on the planet. Now, I have received 12,000 emails of support from all over the world. Common people just reacted normally. They were very exciting also. But then almost complete cultural establishment, archaeologists, geologists, historians, museums, they were all against. I went to the Department of Archaeology at the University of Sarajevo. I offered them collaboration. They refused with the words, "Oh, we know every square meter of Bosnia, we don't have pyramids," which is nonsense. At the time, Bosnia did not even have faculty of archaeology. We don't know 90% of what's under the soil in Bosnia. I went to the National Museum, and their answer was even funnier. They said, "We never had pharaohs in Bosnia, therefore we cannot have pyramids." I realized that these people, they live in the 19th century with the way they are thinking. And of course, they did not have my experience. You know, you go to China, 250 pyramids in the central province of Shanxi, all of them covered by soil vegetation. As a matter of fact, from 1967, the Chinese government purposely planted pine trees to hide them from the outside world because those pyramids are more than 12,000 years old. They changed the Chinese history. So I said, fine. So I established a non-profit foundation. And I had, of course, big challenges because when you have all those major scientists, archaeologists, historians against you, you know, they have very strong connections with the government. They don't give you the money, they don't give you grants, support, permissions. So I had to be smart and creative. So what we did, we have opened the project to the volunteers from all over the world. You know, just in the last 13 years, we had 3,750 volunteers from 64 countries. A lot of them coming from Czech Republic, from Slovakia, from Germany, from Netherlands, from Slovenia, from Croatia, from Bosnia, from US, from Australia, from New Zealand, from Peru, and so on. So those people, they became part of the discovery. They were discovering concrete blocks on the Sun Pyramid, prehistorical tunnels, artifacts, organic materials. So what we have, Tomáš, after 18 years of work, we discovered the pyramid complex, which consists of 6 pyramids, which we named the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, Moon, Dragon, Earth, Love, and the 6th pyramid. We have tumuli complex. Tumulus is an artificial conical hill, very known in, let's say, southern England, like Silbury Hill or Marlborough. There are in France, there are in different countries. And we have huge network of underground prehistorical tunnels. So far, we have discovered entrances to 6 tunnels. And we cleared more than 3 kilometers of those tunnels. But it seems to us that there are more than 100 kilometers of the tunnels under the Visoko Valley. So 3 kilometers in archaeology is sensational discovery. Imagine 100. We have no clue what kind of treasure we have above the ground and below the ground. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, according to the latest technology, which is called the LIDAR or LIDAR technology, which has been applied in Mexico, Bolivia, Cambodia, Angkor Wat, and so on, we determined the real height of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun at 368 meters. When it comes to volume, it's more than 10 times bigger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Orientation to the north is a common feature for pyramids in China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Egypt, Peru, and so on. So far, we thought the best orientation is the Great Pyramid of Egypt, with error to the perfect cosmic north of 0 degrees and 3 minutes. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun has an error of 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and only 12 seconds. That's the most precise on the planet. When we started digging 1 meter below the ground, we started discovering rectangular and square blocks, obviously made by intelligent hands. We've done analysis at 7 different institutes for materials. Politecnico di Torino in Turin, Italy, Geopolymer Institute of France, Czech Republic, Institute for Geology of the Czech Academy of Sciences, Slovakia, Bosnia. They all told us it was an artificially made concrete. You can measure the quality of the concrete based on hardness and water absorption. That concrete in Bosnia, much superior than what we can make today. For example, our concrete today are on the scale from 10 to 60 megapascals. This concrete here, up to 155 megapascals. We cannot reach this quality of concrete. Then the next element, elements of sacred geometry. What are they? Number pi, 3.14. Number phi, or golden section, and golden section spiral. Equilateral triangle, hexagon, and so on. And guess what? 3 major pyramids in Bosnia, Sun, Moon, and Dragon. When we connect their tops, the distance between them is 2,180 meters. 3 times, 2,180, 2,180, 2,180. There is no way that Mother Nature can make hills with 4 sides, 4 triangular faces, perfect orientation to the cardinal points, concrete blocks, and now put them in the ratio of equilateral triangle. This is the result of intelligent design and perfect execution. Somebody was able to manipulate with the millions of tons of material. And by building this most extensive underground tunnel network, we have one of the world's miracles.
It sounds wonderful, Semir. The question which comes is, it sounds to me like a huge discovery. Why would governments try to not accept that it can be as you say? What is their purpose? Why some people as you mentioned, try to keep the history of ourselves in a shape which is written into the books. Why?
You have actually several questions there. Why they don't accept? Now imagine that you're an archaeology professor, or history professor, or geology professor, or anthropologist, and you teach at the university. You are telling your students the pyramids are built in Egypt and Mexico, and the Egyptian pyramids were built by 100,000 slaves, and they were tombs for the pharaohs. If you don't answer that question this way, you won't pass the test, you won't pass the exam. Of course, Egyptian pyramids were not built 4,500, but more than 30,000 years back. They were not built by the pharaohs or 100,000 slaves, because there were no slaves in Egypt, but by more advanced civilizations. And now on top of that, we have discovery of pyramids in Europe. What are we going to do with that? What is their purpose? So, since they are the biggest and the oldest on the planet, all the history books have to be changed. What we're going to do now? Change the history books in the small Bosnia, change the PhDs, change the professorships, which are not good anymore, change the way they teach our kids, which is wrong. Of course, it's not only Bosnia, it's Croatia, it's Paris, it's London, it's Boston, so we need to change it all over the planet. This is not small discovery. But when you add to that other discoveries, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, more than 12,000 years. Yonaguni monuments on the bottom of the Pacific floor near Japan, more than 12,000 years. Machu Picchu, eastern Peru, not 800 years Incas, but more than 50,000 years. When you add all those discoveries, the whole New World history has to be rewritten. Now, your last question, why would they try to suppress? Those who control the history control the past, present, and future. Who are they? Not the small countries like Bosnia or Czech Republic, not the common people, but elites. Elites from where? Number one, UK, or more precisely, England. They control the history. They want to show our history that we are still in the infant stage. And if you are a baby, you don't have your history, you don't have your roots. You need to give your rights to those who can lead us, elites, political, corporate, religious. But if common people realize that there were civilizations before, not only 5,000-6,000 years, Sumerian, Babylon, Akkad, Assyria, Hittite, Egypt, India, China. This is just the last cycle of civilizations. There was another cycle in the past, which ended 12,000 years back. Another one, 18,500. Another one, 34,000. Another one, 55,000. Another one, 75,000. So in the last 100,000 years, we have had at least 5 civilizational cycluses. People will start asking questions. Who were they? What was their technological level? How was their spiritual life? Did they believe in God? What did they know? Once we realize that those people, and in some cases, let's use the term, those beings, they were very evolved, spiritually, physically, technologically. A lot to learn from them. For example, on spiritual aspect, I did mention that I am not only my physical body, but spiritual body also. We have our soul. Soul is almost forever. It lasts billions of years. Our physical body is just one short term, and we're gone. But if you know about your soul, then there is no need to fear from the physical death. If you eliminate the major fear from death, then all other smaller fears, fear of losing your jobs, losing your home, losing your bank account, losing your loved ones, all those fears disappears. Our society is based on fear. You go to academia, assistant professor is afraid what he's going to say, If he says something wrong, professor is going to fire him. Professor is afraid of dean is afraid of rector. In corporate world, junior management is afraid of what senior management is going to say. In media world, journalist is afraid what he's going to write, and if editor is going to fire him. Everywhere is fear, because if you lose the job, you lost everything. That's what people think. But imagine if we live in the world without the fear. All of a sudden, we become free. And this is what the elites fear. They don't want us to be free. Once we realize that besides physical senses, we have 5 physical senses. We can hear, we can see, we can taste, we can smell, we can touch. But this is very limited picture of the world. What we can hear, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, very small scale. We cannot hear 30 kilohertz. That's ultrasound. We cannot hear megahertz. We cannot hear gigahertz. We don't hear most of the sounds in the nature. We don't hear anything below 20 hertz. It's called infrasound. But it all exists. What we can see, only those 7 colors. Very, very small range. Imagine that we can see a little bit more. Like cats, for example. We would be able to see different spiritual entities, ghosts, maybe extraterrestrials. Our world would be totally different. Our horizons would be much, much wider. Imagine that you can control your soul movement. Some people call it dream state. So you travel from this planet to another one, another star constellations, another galaxy, another universe. Or you travel through space and time. You realize you don't have limits. You don't have limits. You are free. If you are free, do you care who's the president of the country? Do you care about the measures? You cannot move, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot work because of Corona. You don't care. So imagine, majority of the people are free. The whole system based on inequality, based on elite organization would collapse. That's what common people want. Did in the past some of the civilization had such structures? Of course they did. So learning about the past is becoming, a big danger for the elites. Learning about the true purpose of pyramids is dangerous for them. Why? They maintain this narrative. Egyptian pyramids, tombs for pharaohs. I go, excuse me, you did good with this glass of water. I take groups to Egypt every December. I was doing my lectures at University of Cairo, Faculty of Archaeology, University of Ain Shams, University of Alexandria, Library of Alexandria, so I go there very often. The Great Pyramid of Egypt, or Cheops, or Khufu. You go inside, 3 chambers so far, no mummy, no royal furniture, no tools, no hieroglyphic writings, no symbols, no organic materials, not a single proof. Who, when, how, and why. You go to second one, because they are telling us for the first one, the robbers came inside, they took everything. Okay, you go to Khafre, nothing, no mummies. You go to Mykerinos or Mycenaeans, no mummies. You go to Sneferu, they claimed he built 3 pyramids, of course, which is impossible. No mummies. You go to Djoser's pyramid, Step Pyramid in Saqqara, no mummies. 155 pyramids in Egypt, no mummies. So where the pharaohs were buried? In the Valley of Kings, which is 600 kilometers to the south from the Giza Plateau. In Abydos, in their capitals, in Thebes, in Memphis, Dendera, not in the pyramids. The whole story about Egyptian pyramids being tombs collapses in front of our eyes. What were they? Well, we need the real scientists to measure that. Physicists, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers, medical doctors. But are they allowed to go to the Giza Plateau and research? No, they are not. It's just Egyptologists, archaeologists. They jealously guard their sites, not only in Egypt, but also in the case of Chinese pyramids, Peruvian pyramids, Mexican pyramids, Cambodian pyramids. Only exception, Bosnian pyramids. Since it's been run by the non-government foundation, we have opened the door for the experts from all these different fields. Archaeology cannot answer the question about the purpose of pyramids. It cannot answer the question about sacred geometry. It cannot answer the question about how they did it. They don't have knowledge. Nobody teaches them. So, 5 teams of engineers and physicists came from 5 different countries: Croatia, Serbia, Italy, Finland, Germany, at 5 different times with their own equipment. On the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, they measured existence of the energy beam, which is 28 kilohertz in frequency, electrical in nature. It starts at 4.5 meter radius, expands to 20, coming back to 4.5, 20, 4.5, 20. It's continuous because we've been measuring it in summer and spring and fall and winter. In science, it is called scalar waves. What are the scalar waves? Nikola Tesla, our brilliant mind, was investigating this phenomenon in 1899 in his lab in Colorado Springs, in the US. In the last 50 years, Russian physicists, they have been working on it, and they concluded that scalar waves move quicker than the speed of light. So they are ideal media for the communication. So imagine, on the top of the biggest pyramid in Bosnia, scalar waves or scalar fields, according to some, within which information moves. We are getting to the conclusion that the first potential purpose of pyramids was communication on long distances. Now imagine this. Instead of bedtime stories, pyramids, pharaohs, princesses, kings, blah, 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 now we have some very practical use. Right now, we don't have capability to communicate with other star systems. We don't. We are not there yet. The second purpose of pyramid energy, when I say energy, it's something that you can measure. It's not energy in a sense, oh, I'm in a good mood, oh, I have a good energy today. No. It is something that's measurable. Electromagnetism, electrical field, magnetic field, ultrasound, infrasound, orgone energy. If it is measurable, you can scientifically prove that. So, you enter the tunnels under the Bosnian Valley of Pyramids. You walk for hundreds of meters. Deeper you go, you breathe better and better. Not very logical, but nothing in Bosnia is logical. People with some problems like asthma, bronchitis, they feel so good and so relieved when they get outside. They don't need air pump, inhalator anymore. People with a high blood pressure, it gets normalized. People with a high sugar in the blood, it got also 5, 6, 7 points below the level when they enter it. So we can obviously see the healing aspect of the tunnel energy. Well, we always say that we are not in the business with healing. We don't give medical guarantees, but what we do, number one, we film, we document all those people who have those health improvements, and number two, we measure. What we have measured in the tunnels is amazing. It's the combination of 9 elements, and very briefly, the first 5 is the absence of all harmful radiations. Right now, you and I, we live on the surface of the planet, but we are exposed to a lot of cosmic radiations. Some of them are harmful for our body, and our body cells fight those enemies. You enter the tunnels, 40 meters below the ground, no harmful cosmic radiations. Number 2, natural radioactivity. It's coming from underground. Sometimes we walk the streets, we are not even aware that this radiation is hitting our body, attacking us. In the tunnels, we use Geiger-Miller counters. That's the instrument to measure level of radiations. The values are 10 to 20 times lower than the minimum allowed. So no radioactivity, no geopathogenic radiations, no signal for the mobile phone or cell phone, which is so devastating. You talk for 10 minutes, it burns 100,000 your brain cells. Why? Because of bad electromagnetism. 3G, 2.4 gigahertz. 4G, 6 gigahertz. 5G, 28, 39, 60 gigahertz. 60, you can breathe. Tomorrow, 6G, 300 gigahertz. So bad for our brain cells. Number 5, no signal for Wi-Fi. Of course, we need Wi-Fi, otherwise we would not be able to talk. But if there is Wi-Fi, if there is a signal, it means that we are surrounded by bad electromagnetism. Those 5 harmful radiations are absent in the tunnels. For the first time in our life, when we enter it, no enemies for our bodies. Our body cells can start doing their job. What is their job? To fix the problems in our body, to start the regeneration process, and to start the detoxification process. Everybody has some problem. Some people high blood pressure, or sugar, or mental problems. Regeneration is happening in the tunnels. And when we add 4 measurable energy phenomena present there, all of them good, we are getting to the most secured and the healthiest place on the planet, the Bosnian Pyramid tunnels. What 4 energy phenomena? That would be number 6. The best frequency of electromagnetic field, 28 kilohertz, that's the planetary frequency. Anything coming from our planet, which is our mother planet, is good for us. Number 7, ultrasound of 28 kilohertz. In science, this frequency of ultrasound is known as the levitation frequency. You feel light inside the tunnels. Number 8, very low frequency called ELF, extremely low frequency of 7.83 hertz. In science, it is called the original Schumann resonance. There's the resonance of our planet until 1990. And when we got born, we are born at 7.83. When we think, if somebody still practice this activity, when we think, we generated the brain waves at 7.83. So we are in balance with our planet. But due to so much bad technology, computers, laptops, tablets, microwaves, TVs, mobile phones, satellite antennas, American Project HARP, so much bad electromagnetism, it needs to go somewhere, going to ionosphere, hitting the most contaminated places, big cities, New York, Munich, Prague, Sarajevo. And the frequency is not 7.83 anymore. Sarajevo 12, Munich 15, New York 18 hertz. Not a big difference, one would say. 7.83 or 18, but it is a difference. There is a disbalance which causes the stress. So we are under the stress in big cities 24 hours a day. You go to the tunnels, 7.83. In other words, you go back to the balance. And element number 9, which is maybe one of the most important elements. Now, this element is important because negative ions are extra electrons in atoms or molecules. These are negatively charged, molecules. They are free in the air. When they connect to the dust, they become heavy, they drop to the floor, and they clear the atmosphere from the dust. They clear the atmosphere from smoke. They clear the atmosphere from, super oxygen. They clear the atmosphere from microbes. And microbes are viruses, bacteria, fungi. Viruses, if corona was a virus, it means they clear the atmosphere from corona. So, more negative ions better for us. In our homes, concentration of negative ions, 10, 20, 30 negative ions per cubic centimeter. You go to the downtown cities, LA or Prague, 100, a little bit fresher. You go to the mountains. We measure in Bosnia, 3 mountains near Sarajevo, 750 to 1,000, meaning it's 6 times healthier on the mountain than in the contaminated city. Of course it is. It's very logical. It's common sense. But in the Bosnian pyramid tunnels, from 20,000 to 60,000, in the summer and in the winter, the other day we measured 212,000 negative ions per cubic centimeter, which is the highest concentration on the planet. So Tomáš, imagine those 9 elements that I just mentioned, when you combine them, you are really getting the healthiest place on the planet. You go inside, it's like a therapy. Your body got cleansed, the regeneration process, detox process. So our conclusion number 2 about the potential purpose of the pyramid energy was to protect what is the most precious to us, our health. And it all makes sense. Why would somebody build a huge pyramid complex, millions of tons of blocks for one dead body? But if you build it for something that you can use as the living community and something that can last thousands of years, it makes sense. I mentioned the first 2, communication and health. Number 3, if you want, you can continue. Water. Now, water is, of course, the source of life. They say 75% of water. But really, remaining 25%, if you squeeze it, we are 99% of the water. Our city water, the medical authority, they say, well, it is healthy, no viruses, no bacteria. Why? Because it's been treated by chlorine. And chlorine is a poison. So what we drink is a poison. In some countries, they add fluoride. Fluoride, like in the United Kingdom, it's a law. They add fluoride, they say it is good for your teeth. Oh, really? Long-term exposure to fluoride, it's killing, damaging your teeth. But the main problem with the fluoride, until 50 years ago, it was exclusively used as the poison for rats. Poison for rats. And this is what we drink. UK, Republic of Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, 1/3 of the US, the whole of Canada, Argentina, Chile, and so on. Then, the 3rd content in our city water, traces of heavy metals. How? Well, we catch the water in the mountains in the metal pipes. Water goes through, it's melting, this metal. Number 4, coming to our kitchens, water is going through the plastic pipes. It melts plastic. So what we drink is the water treated with chlorine, fluoride, metal, and plastics. This water is energetically dead. Plus, it's poisonous. If we think that the bottled water is better, think twice. The biggest water producers in the world, I won't mention those soda company, Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. Their biggest business is not Coke or Pepsi or Schweppes or tonic or orange or drink or whatever. It's water. They have monopoly, not only in the US, but in the 3rd world. What they do, they use city water, already energetically dead water, and they add aluminum, barium, and some other poisonous substances. This is what we drink. And via what we drink. In the case of the Bosnian pyramid water, we discovered 5 tunnels with the water. We analyzed, compared to our city water, it's superior. No viruses, no bacteria, no fungi, pH excellent. pH 0 to 14, 7 is neutral, below 7 acid, not good for us. Above 7 alkaline, good for us. But medical authorities try to keep our city water at 7, neutral. But our blood is not 7. Our blood is from 7.35 to 7.45. Well, the pyramid water here in Isoko, 7.45. Ideal for balance. We sent samples to the late Dr. Masaru Emoto from Japan, who became very popular because he was taking different samples of the water, freezing them at -21, and then making photos through the electronic microscope. And he concluded that different samples of water, different molecular structures. For example, contaminated water from rivers or lakes, no structure at all. Water exposed to heavy metal, loud music, no structure at all. City water, no structure. But water that you talk to, you tell her for 1 hour, I love you, I love you, I love you, changes the structure, becomes hexagonal in structure, hexagon, the most powerful geometrical shape when we talk about energies. And it's getting this structural aspect. Water that's been exposed to the Mozart's music, cosmic music, hexagon. Water from Visoko Valley in Bosnia, hexagon with a lot of crystal-like structures. So it has a structure, it's energetically alive. I say it's a happy water, it vibrates high. So the third purpose of pyramid energy, to improve the molecular structure of the most important liquid in our life, water. Number 4, I'll just mention it, food. There are experiments that we've done. Number 5, I'll just mention it, immunity. In the last 3 years, they tried to convince us that the key word is vaccine. The key word is not vaccine because everybody is going to get virus or bacteria. The key word is immunity. Because once you got those bad viruses and bacteria, then it is about your immunity. Because it is going to fight and preserve your health. Number 6, auric field, bioenergy field around our body. We got an instrument from genius Russian physicist, Professor Konstantin Korotkov. In the last 7 years, we have scanned 5,200 people before entering the tunnels, after coming back. More than 90% of them had improved auric field once they came back from the tunnels. The next element, our chakras, according to the Eastern traditions, Tibet, China, India. We have those 7 chakras on the level of our physical bodies, and energy is going through those chakras like big intersections. It's not something that we can see, even though with some techniques and practice we could, but they don't teach us about that. So we have physical, but we have also energy body. If energy flows in our body properly, it affects our blood circulation. If blood circulates good, going to all alveoles, we will be healthy. Very simple. Well, measuring the chakras before and after the tunnels, chakras are coming back to the balance, they open a little bit more. We measure the stress level before being exposed to pyramid energy and after. Stress level reduces. In other words, Tomáš, the pyramids were built to protect the planet, resources, water, food, health, plus they could be used for the communication. And now it all makes perfect sense. This is what we have been doing in Bosnia in the last 18 years. And do you think that the establishment would accept that just like that? Of course they will not. We've brought hundreds of scientists from different fields, mostly independent. They've done measurements, lab analysis, dating, they've done all kinds of test sampling. We have proven our case. But how long will it take that the real information about history will get into the history books? It's not so much up to us. It is about the establishment that will need to accept that. And it will be very slow and a tough process. because it would mean that we are taking the major tools out of the elites. And that's why I'm not communicating to elites, I'm communicating to the ordinary people who come here in thousands from different countries. And Czech Republic, after our neighbors, Croatia, Serbia, Slovenia, is the place from where the most visitors we have in Bosnia. You know, in 2018, the total number of the visitors to the site was 40,000. Considering the fact that we were the only one who were inviting them through my interviews and presentations and our promotions, without a penny from the tourist boards or Ministry of Tourism or governments, that was success. 2019, 50,000 people. 2020, the first Corona year, 74,000. 2021, 136,000. 2022, more than 150,000. So we're going to grow because people come, they are delighted, and they will be back. Some of them coming from Serbia, Slovenia, neighboring country. They come 3-4 times during the summer season. The first time they come, they're very happy. Then they bring their family, they bring their friends, they bring their groups. This place will grow. People can recognize our good intentions. People can recognize our good vibrations. People can recognize that something different is happening. Very soon it will be 250,000, and then 500,000, 10 years from now, 1 million. So we are becoming the real, very powerful and very attractive destination. And this destination is not only about the archaeology. It's not only about the true history. It's about the science. It's about spirituality, but in a nice sense, not religious, not faith. Spirituality, advancement of spiritual senses. It is about the healing aspect. In the last 7 years, I spent all my savings from the US. I purchased 100,000 square meters of muddy land. It was swamp, garbage everywhere. And we transformed it into one of the most beautiful parks in Europe. We have megalithic circles, we have stages for yoga, stages for meditations, we organize festivals, we organize fairs with the organic food, we organize book promotions. Every year, 8 days, we have tango festival. Tango, imagine, in the middle of Bosnia. We have salsa festival, we have folklore groups, we have concerts. Last year, we opened tennis courts. And the best tennis player ever, Novak Djokovic, opened it. It was a show that's been never seen in tennis before, with his colleagues from Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia. Thousands of people were there, 72 media. And the news from Bosnia were not about the corruption or criminals or threat of wars or bad news. It was about the sport and tennis and enthusiasm and young people. And tourism and the beautiful countryside. So we change the present of this country, not only the history. And instead of what they try to push on us, transhumanism, the society where technology will be fully controlling us and manipulating with us, we offer a different future. Concept with harmony with the nature and harmony among us and non-discrimination. Different concept of future.
Thank you very much, Semir, for this, what you were talking and you were describing here. And I have a question for you, one question. We are talking about the history, about the pyramids, about how people lived. And you said one interesting thing, that the history, as we see it, it can be different. Is there anything about spirituality, what surprised you, what people did centuries ago, and we still do not understand, we still do not want to accept, like in mainstream, that they were more spiritually based than we think. Is there anything like this, what really, really surprised you? What were for you like, oh my God, it's different?
You know, I've been traveling different megalithic sites and pyramid sites around the world, you know, from very well-known sites like Stonehenge in England, Karnak, less known like Nandshag or Alestenar in Sweden, Rujmalkhiri in Israel, sites in India, sites in Peru, Bolivia, America, and so on. And I can see that spirituality is not the aspect that it is of any interest for the cultural establishment. It is not. It is people who go there attracted, who think that there is much more than what official science offers. They go to Machu Picchu, they start feeling the energies. They go to, you know, Bolivia, different sites, they feel the energies. In our case, since we've been open for all different aspects, spirituality is not about the religious or different religions. Religion is, you know, organized way how people pray. They go to churches or mosques or temples. It's not about the faith. Faith is something that you have direct contact with the Creator. Spirituality for me is development of spiritual senses. You know, we have, I mentioned 5 physical senses, but we have 30 spiritual senses. We can see more, we can hear more, we can feel more. We can see not only this laptop or this physical body, but we can see, with the practice, our auric field. We can see colors in this auric field. We can see 7 different fields around us. Not only auric, but 7 fields, about 10 meters around us. We can see chakras, we can see movement of the energy. When you see the colors, then you know what the person is about, because different colors, different features. Red color, it can be, you know, of course, the warmth and love, but red color is usually not only the temperament. Red color is something, if you have too much of the red, it's, you know, going towards the violence, stuff like that. White color, wise people. Blue or green, health, love, sharing. So once you see that, nobody can fool you. Right now, you and I talk, or we meet someone. People can tell you whatever they want to. You believe them. But if you see the colors of their auric field, you know exactly what these people are about. They can tell you stories and stories. But whatever we do in our life, it gets inserted in our auric field. So that we cannot fool anyone who can read and who can see the auric field. So for me, spirituality is development of those senses. In other sense, of course, is the communication with the thoughts on very long distances. It is called telepathy. We can communicate. Doesn't matter you're in Thailand, I'm in Bosnia, we can communicate without the computer. At one point in our life, we will get to that level. At one point in the past, people were at that level. How did they build the Cheops or Khufu pyramid? You know, when you build today something, you need to have drawings. If you are to build a house, you need to have a big set of drawings. Foundation, walls, electrical, plumbing, roofs, heating, and so on and so forth. So many drawings. When you build the pyramids like Cheops, you would need full storage of drawings, not a single drawing. Why? Because it was built by more advanced beings, intelligent hands. How do they communicate? Maybe telepathy. They are making plans by communicating that way. How do they move stuff? 220 tons is the largest granite block in Khafre pyramid, which came from Aswan, 869 kilometers to the south from the Giza plateau. How they moved 220 tons? We cannot move it today. Did they use something else? Levitation. How do you levitate things? With our spiritual ability, which is called telekinesis. Did they do that? Maybe they did. Instead of going to the Nile, maybe those blocks were simply floating through the air. Spiritual sense. Another one, moving through space and time, teleportation. That's the most powerful spiritual sense. Imagine that you can move through time. They teach you in schools. Napoleon, in 1799, conquered Egypt. We read that in the books. How about we move ourselves to 1799 and we see for ourselves, was really Napoleon there that year? Did he have a big army? Did he enter the chamber in the Great Pyramid of Egypt? Did he spend the night there? Was he terrified, as we can read in some books? So imagine that you can do all of that. Once you start developing spiritual senses, again, you become free. For me, it's all about the freedom. And energy is a way to achieve that freedom. Elites understood that long time ago. What are our sources of energy? Last 150 years, coal, thermal, power. Oil and gas, last 100 years, 120 years. Who has them? Oil companies. Not me or you. Rockefeller started with the Standard Oil. Today you have Exxon, you have BP, you have Shell, big guys. Nuclear energy, nuclear lobbies, France, US, most other countries. All these sources for the energy contaminates, they're harmful to us, they are limited, and they are very expensive, and they are in the hands of very few. And this is how they keep their power. To the corporate world, they have their media world, political, and so on. Imagine that we change that we change this energy source. Instead of limited and dirty and expensive, how about we have unlimited, clean, and free? And I said, brilliant mind of Nikola Tesla. Well, these were his ideas. But who was his financier? J.P. Morgan. Was it in his best interest to have free energy? Of course not. He told him openly, listen, what you are proposing, it's a free energy. How am I going to make money there? And then he went to Edison, of course. Every day we lose 99.9%. We waste of the free energy, solar energy. Of course, we do have solar power plants, we do have some solar panels on some of our houses, but that's 1 or 2% of our power. That's nothing, that's very minor. Why? Because they need to find a way to make a lot of money with the solar panels. So they charge you 1,000 euros per one panel. You need 30 panels, 30,000 euros. If you live 500 years, maybe it will become profitable, it will be paid off. So the big business, they want to make money. Solar power is free. Our sun is our father. It gives us the energy. It gives us the light. It gives us the warmth. It gives us the information. So if you turn to the solar, at any given time, in every corner of our planet, we would have enough energy. But if you change that, oil and gas industry would collapse. Transportation, all these big tankers, jobless. Refinery that contaminate our environment. No more need for refinery. No more need for the chemical industry. No more need for the plastic bags. No more need for the cars that we have today. No more need for the pharmaceutical industry that we have today. No more need for the food industry. Once you start adding the additives, the chemicals, it becomes industry. Food should be food, not food industry. I plant something, I eat that. Why should I add the additives? Water, not treated water, but clean resources that we have. The water wells, somewhere in the mountains, that's what we need. So, you change the energy, you change the base for this unequal society.
Wow. So, guys who are listening to us, you can write your opinion or your feelings below the video. Thank you very much. You can share this video as well. Thank you for that, or subscribe. I put a link on Dr. Semir Osmanagić below. You can find it. You can visit pyramids. Of course, there are more information for you. And I have one more question, Semir. You were talking about the tunnels, under the pyramids, and I found that they were buried in some period of time. Do you have some theory why they were buried, these tunnels? Who did it and why?
Under the Bosnian pyramid, there is a huge network of prehistorical tunnels. When we discovered them, and I discovered them back in 2005, it was just a few meters of those tunnels. Everybody called it a natural cave. But I saw that one of the future we will realize tunnels, it had, half radius ceiling. I said, this is not natural. But it was filled with pebbles and rocks and sand. We started removing this, non-compact material, rocks and sand, and we realized that it was actually a tunnel that has been shut down. Somebody closed this tunnel. Somebody filled it with the filler material. So we are clearing. To the left, there was another one. To the right, another one. Then we find another intersection. Then we find a drywall. Then we find chambers. We realize it's a huge network. We have dated those tunnels based on organic materials that we, discovered. The two dating methods we use. The first one is radiocarbon dating, where you find piece of organic material. It can be bone, it can be leaf, it can be piece of wood. We also did uranium-thorium analysis. We've dated stalagmites. So, the date when the tunnels were built is about 30,000 years. Between 30 and 34,000 years. 3,000 years. The date when the tunnels were closed was 5,000 years ago. Or to be more precise, we found pieces of organic material. In the filler material, we sent it to the radiocarbon lab in Uppsala, University of Uppsala in Sweden, 4,620 years. Usually on radiocarbon date, to get calibrated date, you add 14%, so it's about 5,000 years. So, who and why built the tunnel network 30,000 years ago, and who and why closed the tunnels 5,000 years ago? We are still looking for those answers. But all the tunnels so far, and we have cleared 2,700 meters of those tunnels, a lot of circles, it's a labyrinth. Somebody did it systematically. Why would somebody do that? If you and I think, if you want to hide some tunnels, what we do, you take dynamite, you explode the entrance, nobody will find it. It is covered by soil, tomorrow it will be grass and vegetation. But no, somebody filled every tunnel completely to the top. They wanted either to hide something very important somewhere behind them, or they wanted to stop movement of the energy. Because in the tunnel, if they are open, energy moves through the tunnels. What energy? Electromagnetic field, electrical field, negative ions, orgone energy, and so on. And then when we're thinking about it, they don't teach us about it in schools. But for example, Feng Shui, or Feng Shui, as people say, the philosophy, the science about the energy is telling us when you have laser straight canal or river or whatever channel, there is no energy movement. But when it goes left and right and zigzag, and when you have a labyrinth, there is energy movement which is getting stronger and stronger. And all those tunnels, they keep moving towards the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Is it possible that those energies were feeding the pyramid? So it can be energetically very strong. Well, nobody put similar hypothesis in the world. It doesn't mean that it is wrong. So we will be working more and more. And to answer your question, why would somebody close all those tunnels? It was a huge construction work. Well, pyramids are energy amplifiers. They amplify existing natural sources. Below the sun pyramid, we have electromagnetic field, which is generated by iron plate. Below the pyramid, underground water flow, water moves, negative ions. Below the pyramid, second water flow, between the two, we have a voltage, electricity. We have a lot of quartz crystal on the pyramid and the tunnels. Quartz crystal amplifies the energy. So the pyramid amplifies all those energies. And when you have energy beam and energy fields, you can use the energy for different purposes. Energy for itself is neutral. It's not good or bad. But if you use it for good purposes, it becomes good, positive energy. If you use it for bad purposes, it's negative energy. Look at us today. We have lasers. Laser is type of the energy. You use laser in medicine, it's a good energy. You use laser making laser guns. You kill the enemy. Well, for that enemy, obviously this was not positive energy. This was very negative energy. So it's up to us how we're going to use it. Is it possible that somebody in distant past was abusing this energy and somebody else decided to close all those tunnels, close the movement of the energy, and kill these energy machines? It is possible.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Wow, I'm still thinking about what you were saying. And is there anything from our ancestors we can learn about the style of living, or maybe about spirituality? Because in Czech Republic, people are trying to find a way how to connect themselves with some source of energy, spirituality, or anything. Is there anything you can tell and you can give tips about what our ancestors did and we forgot to do?
For me, it's very obvious that megalithic sites, when you have stone circles, they focus the energy also. When you have number 8, energy 8, like a non-shag in Sweden, there is a flow of the energy, no beginning, no end. They're all about the energies. We are all about the energy also. We kill the animal, we eat. That's our energy source. Dead animal meat is our energy source. Imagine that. Not very, not much sense to that. We fill our cars with the gas, with the oil and so on. But the ancients, they were much smarter. They knew that geometry, like 4-sided pyramid, can amplify the energy. They knew that circles, domes, conical shapes can amplify the energy, can focus the energy, can affect their energy fields. When you come to our site, you sense the change of the energy on subconscious level. You sense, okay, this is something that I like. It's very pleasant. That's why so many people talk about the energy in the case of the Bosnian tunnels or Bosnian pyramids. They go inside the tunnels, they meditate, they close their eyes, or they keep them open. But in the dark, now they are able to go to the inner cosmos. And they are able to connect. First with our spiritual self, our soul, and then to wander through the universe. And this is not the experience we've been taught in schools or families or by TV or by our educational system. We are much more than the physical consumers of the technical products they offer us. We are much more than that. And that's the reason why there is a future for this project, much better than any other archaeological project run by establishment.
Thank you very much for your time. I wish you all the luck with your research, with your discoveries. Aren't you sometimes a little bit afraid what you can find out about our ancestors or about the energies? Don't you feel sometimes, like, wow, it's a great responsibility, and maybe I will find out really something what they try to hide, the governments, the elites, and that you will have this power to tell or to be in silence?
Number one, no fear in my life. Whatever we discover, that's fine. It seems that we all have missions in our life. I'm fulfilling my mission. So we will be working as long as we are alive, and we will see what we are going to come up with. But the power belongs to the people. Free energy, spirituality, no discrimination, equality. These are the goals that we have to achieve. I realize if we want to progress spiritually, then we need to pull the whole society. It's not about us, very few, hundreds of thousands of people. No, we're going to go to this land or whatever, to paradise. We need to inform, educate, help, support others. We can do that being and staying open, sharing, connecting.
Thank you very much. Do you want to come there and to say something?
No,
it's okay. Okay. Because here's the Sandra, and
I just can say to all the people, go there, especially when you have some problems with your health, because I was in the tunnels and I felt a strong energy, and also on the top of the pyramids, the sun pyramid and the moon pyramid was really strong, and I'm not that kind of person who can feel it right away. And I felt it was really, really strong, healthy energy, healing energy. And so I can only to say to people, just go there and enjoy the time there, because it's a beautiful country, really strong place, and a really nice people. And thank you for your discovering.
Do you have some question? Do you have some question for Semir?
No, actually, no.
It's okay.
I heard everything. I was listening all the time from the other side, and I'm so happy for this connecting. How you said, exactly as you said it. We need to collaborate together and show the people what the real truth is. So thank you for your show.
Wonderful, thank you. This project is different and unique. We are open 12 months a year, 365 days a year. No holidays for us. People are always welcome. We have 36 official guides. They come, they take you to the places. Volunteers are welcome. June, July, August, September, October. 5 months. People come for 3 days, 7 days, 2 months. They stay with us. They love it. And this is different way to do archaeology and science.
I put the link below the video for you, guys. If you want to go, you can find out more information. And thank you very much again, Semir Osmanagić, for your time. And in the future, if there will be opportunity, I would like to continue in our conversation. It was amazing for me. And tell us, what do you think, who watched us, like your opinions, your feelings about it, if you have any experience like this, or you can put the links about the history or what you think about it and how you feel it now, because anything can be different, as a doctor mentioned here, and it's our task to discover in our soul or in the world outside. So enjoy your evening or day. Thank you for sharing this with your friends on social media, and see you in next interview. Semir, thank you very much. If you want to say something, there is your time.
I've said enough. Everybody is welcome. Come, join us, be part of this unique project.